Coming to you live. It's the Believe in the South Side. I am Steve-O. You can find me on Twitter at Drunk Shy Sox Fan. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Carrie.
Hi, Steven.
There we go. Hi, Carrie.
Sorry, I was I'm not feeling the best, so I was, blowing my nose. I don't know if that would be appropriate to
Just
doing
get
the
it all
microphone.
on the microphone.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But what's going on, Steve? Nice to be back on the show with you here. I plugged the show with Herb on CHGO.
Absolutely. That was a blast to listen to.
But this isn't about me.
No.
This is about our buddy, one of my favorite people on the Bird app. We got Recovering Prof on Twitter, right? It's Recovering Professor.
Yeah.
Right?
Jesus H. Strawman himself.
Jesus H. Strawman.
I never know what people know. I feel like more people know me as Jesus H. Strawman than Recovering Prof. Nobody really looks at the handle.
Yeah.
So I never really know what to say, though. I never know which one to put.
Regardless, it's nice to
it's nice to have the comment section rolling already a minute and a half. For those of you that don't tune in regularly and listen to us on your podcast, that's great. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. But know that we are a live podcast. We are on YouTube every single episode, and the comment section is always live. Prof, we're so glad to have you with us. Can you run us through your name? Jesus H. Strawman. Is that like a reference to something? I know.
I mean, I enjoy fallacies.
Yes.
Not that's fallacies, not but oddly enough, and I don't know, she could not be real, but some lady that I'm friends on Twitter with is apparently a Australian sports reporter, like the first female sports reporter, and she said Jesus H. Strawman one day, or I might have said it, and she was like, that should be your new handle, and so I put it on there, and it's kind of stayed there.
There you go. That's a great story, honestly.
Yeah.
It's got some meaning.
Yeah.
We're glad to have you. You can find our guy here, Jesus H. Strawman, on Twitter at Recovering Prof on the Bird app. Yes, Senor. Yes, at Recovering Prof, because he is a recovering prof teacher that's back in the business as a teacher now. Welcome back to education.
Thanks. It's been good teaching little squirts PE.
Absolutely. Are you liking this more than your old dean of discipline role that you had
100%.
back in the day?
I get to do fun things and teach kids exercise, and they're happy all the time, and it's been.
I had you as a PE teacher.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I get to work with 2 other PE teachers, and we pretty much co-teach all day, so they're good people too. So, I definitely like this better than disciplining kids and suspensions and truancy and all that.
Absolutely. Carrie, what kind of kid were you in PE class? Were you the kid that tried really hard?
What do I look like?
Were you the kid that just sat on the bench?
Let's just say
time?
Let's just say no. I participated in every sport besides the running. So whenever it was the mile or the pacer test, I was like, nah, I got better things to do. So I'd either get in trouble on purpose to get out of it, or fake an injury to get out of it. So that's the best way to get out of running. But when it was like dodgeball, all that shit, definitely out there.
Yeah, exactly. I was the kid who probably tried way too hard in PE class,
of course.
Especially, even when it came to the running stuff, 100%. So what kind of kid were you in PE class, Prof?
I don't think I wore jeans until I was in 7th grade, because I would wear swish pants all the time.
Oh, great.
I love that.
You never know when a game of basketball or something was going to break out and you need to go out there and play. So
wait, did you say swish pants? Like, you're walking
the track pants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
God.
So and plus jeans just weren't comfortable. They're still not comfortable.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. We got some new people in the comment section. This is a lot of fun. I'm glad that they decided to join. Let's hop right into it. Let's talk a little White Sox baseball. But first, Prof, I want to hear about your White Sox fandom. How the hell did you become a White Sox fan, and why are you a masochist?
I was born in '83, so those jerseys that are played out too much these days, that should change. I got a picture of me. I think it was my avatar for a while as like a 5-month-old in a White Sox shirt. So that '83 jersey, but for a baby. So I've been, I don't know, my dad, I don't remember exactly what it was, but something about the Cubs just like buried him with the Cubs, and he decided to switch allegiances back in like the '70s. And so he passed that allegiance or curse onto me, and I am a miserable shit as a result.
Fantastic. It's also good to know that. Oh wow, the comment section again. I'm sorry, but it's seriously I think everybody. I know it's the same for you too, Carrie. Like this fandom has been passed down to us, right?
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately,
yeah, really is unfortunate, honestly, especially with the way this team has performed the past almost 2 decades. Brian, what outside of 2000, everybody's favorite White Sox memory, even mine as a 10-year-old at the time, was the White Sox winning the World Series, right? Outside of winning the World Series, what has been your favorite White Sox memory as a fan?
Oh man, probably. Well, first of all, the White Sox won. I say this all the time. It probably could be used against me to make fun of me, but White Sox won Game 3 and Game 4 of the World Series on my 22nd birthday. So I have that nice reminder every year on my birthday that the White Sox won the World Series.
The 25th, 26th of October.
26th of October.
26th, yeah.
So, because if everyone remembers that Game 3 went into 1 o'clock.
14 innings.
So,
what? Right? Wasn't it 14 innings? I think. Yeah.
Game 3, yeah, 14.
Yeah. Jeff Blum.
Mm-hmm. I would say, honestly, the Jim Thome blackout game is up there.
The blackout game.
Was a great game.
And then I would say the Mark Burley perfect game against the Rays. I was coaching down in Florida at the time, and I remember texting I had this little lefty that was on my team, and I texted him. I'm like, hey, you want to watch a left-hander who's not big work, and work at a certain pace, tune in. The game just started, and he tuned in, and he ended up watching, from inning 1 to 9th inning of a perfect game. So it made me look smarter than I am, but
humble brag. But I was at both Burley perfect game and no hitter,
unbelievable,
and the Rodon no hitter,
and
the blackout game, and that's I think why this shitty organization just pulls me back in. I'm like, I've had too many good moments where I can't just drop this fandom.
Well, I definitely separate most of the shitty ownership with the players. Like honestly, the players have been, I would say, obviously for a lot of reasons, we soured a little bit on them last year because they underperformed so much. I mean, at least I did. But that's the reason why, like, I stuck with the team during the Tony years, to be honest, because he's so unlikable and he made the team so much unlikable, but the players were still super likable, Eloy. And like, as soon as Eloy comes back to the lineup after a lengthy absence, it like immediately makes you feel better because the dude is just happy all the time. And when he's not diving into, fishnets, he's making you happy. He's doing things on the baseball field.
Or karate kicking the left field wall, or trying to rob homers in spring training games.
Defender.
I think the only injury the one last year was the only one that was unfortunate. The other stuff he could have kind of avoided.
Yeah, I think, and some of the stuff that they've had have been kind of fluky. A lot of them have been like soft tissue injuries and stuff where it's like,
which are the bad ones. For
maybe you can change your diet or the routine or exercise and stuff, but like it's not like they're sitting out it's not like it's a Fernando Tatis situation. I would never want him to be on the White Sox or in their organization at all. I'm glad he's never been.
After this, I mean, it's gonna be really. You are.
Okay, I was like, whoa.
The talent is there.
Give me the steroids. I don't care.
So
but he's just gotten injured and stupidly.
Well, Eloy is your guy, right? I mean, you got a pet at home, right?
Yeah.
Named
and honestly, too, it's my daughter. She's the one that's always palling around with me at the game. She's 13. She loves Aloy, and she named the cat Aloy.
So are you an Aloy to DH fan?
Oh yeah, they should. When he goes to spring training, someone should take his glove and hide it, and never allow him to even take reps in the outfield anymore. Ultimately, it's to save him for his own good. Like, I fully believe that you can win a championship with Aloy in left field if you have parts around them that can bash the ball. I mean, Manny Ramirez was one of the worst left fielders ever. He had a little bit of a crutch with the left field wall being that's a hard wall to play, but if it's over your head, it's a double. You know what I mean? So it takes a lot of thinking out of the equation, a lot of the space. But they can win with Aloy in left field. They just have to get a lot better around him. But
I've seen
in order
worse.
to save himself from twisting an ankle or diving into a net, take his glove away and hide it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't afford to have Aloy in left field and then Carey's guy Gavin Sheets, his corner outfielder in right field.
That's my boy.
So I gotta ask, Prof, a scale of 1 to 10, how much faith do you have in the current roster construction right now? Obviously, they've lost Jose Abreu, they've gained Mike Clevenger. We don't know how the money that was going to be spent on Abreu is going to be spent. Scale of 1 to 10, how much faith do you have in this team making it to the playoffs? Next year, in 23.
It's hard to say with this current roster construction, because they're obviously not good enough. They got worse with the Jose Abreu loss.
Right.
They haven't done anything to supplement that or to correct that. But I mean, I don't understand how Rick kept his job. I mean, I do, because there's loyalty with Gary, but like, they're one of two teams from 2010 to 2019 to not make the playoffs. And I understand that there was a rebuild in there, but there wasn't a rebuild before that. And now you extend that, and they missed the playoffs in their window of contention. They've made the playoffs twice.
And they were 500. That was it, too.
Yeah,
not like they even fighted for a playoff game.
Like 12 games.
It's not like they won 100 games like the Mets did, and didn't win their division. Like, that's different. I'd be okay if that's what happened.
Or like, think about the 2006 White Sox, right? That was a 90-win team.
I would be okay with that,
some bad luck in there, And I'm not even asking for a World Series. I understand how difficult it is to win a World Series.
Just make the playoffs and then see what happens.
There's zero reason in your window of freaking contention, after tanking for 5 years and just making us watch god-awful baseball, that you're gonna miss the playoffs, and there's no accountability for that other than the manager retiring. Like, this is why it's just hard to believe in the organization in general. I don't believe in Rick Hahn. I don't.
Yeah.
Kenny caught lightning in a bottle once. Their 2016 was good, but not good enough. Like, I understand. Yeah. Man, the money will be spent, quote, just it pains my ass. Because it's like, yeah, it will be spent, but in nickel and diming. We're not going to ever push big stacks of chips into the middle.
Exactly.
We're going to do things at our speed.
There's never a willingness to spend on the superstar.
No, but what he did was he spent the money, but he spent it wrongly on keeping the core of the team intact longer, right?
Yeah.
That's not what you should have done. You don't see any of these other teams doing that. I mean, the Braves now are doing it, but they've won a World Series already. Now you're just like, hell yeah. Like, fuck yeah, this team's already great. Let's keep on going with this, right? Like, the Sox haven't proven anything. That's why I was like, why do we... Like, Yohan's going to make, what, $25 million this year? $17 million or something? I don't know. Anywhere from 17 to 25. And, Luis is making, more than what they would have in arbitration even, right? So he spent the money, but wrongly, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not even upset about that. It's the other players too to supplement that are
here's
really
the
head
problem.
scratchers.
It always seems like with Rick Hahn teams, he focuses at the major league level while completely ignoring drafting and free agency at that point. And it's like you can only build a core so much because you're going to be wrong. You're going to be wrong. And so you have to go out and get proven free agents. So look, I know the Dodgers have an unlimited budget, but they still have a top 10 farm system.
Yep.
they still draft well. They still trade. They're in the premium free agent market. Like they're in on all three of those things. And Rick ignores wings of those.
And they just lost Trey Turner, right? They lost Trey Turner. If the Sox lost a player like Trey Turner, it's like start the rebuild, like they just lost Trey Turner. They lost Manny Machado a few years ago. People even like just forget about that, like it's just unreal to me. And they continue to just churn out talent while the Sox are like, we just lost Jose Abreu and now we're fucked.
This is Rick Howard's plan almost every year.
Yeah, it's the White Sox plan.
I
hope and pray.
If they stay healthy. If the two first basemen in fucking right field can just learn defense just a little bit, everything's cross your fingers. Rick doesn't go after the sure things. He doesn't, and that's the other frustrating part about it too. Is 2020 and last year, like the division was wide open. It's like, here, come take a stranglehold of the division, come get it. And Rick and Jerry and company were just like, nah. We'll play it to where if things break right for us, then we can win the division. It's like a conditional success. We're willing to be successful, but we're going to do it cheaply, or we're going to do it not going after free agents, or just kind of helping things work out. And if it doesn't, we'll be back.
No, for sure.
Going into that though, and Steve, I know this is one of the questions you were going to ask too.
Yeah, I think you're about to go where I was about to go.
Well, because he mentioned it, you mentioned it, Prof, is that, you mentioned about the coaching staff, right? And like, can the coaching staff make the outfield better, right? The coaching staff's different now, right? Tony's gone, and who's gone? McEwing's gone, right? Frank Medicino, thank God, is gone. How much do you believe in this new coaching staff, and how much do you think it's going to actually matter?
So I am in the camp of managers don't matter that much with on-field performance, like as a whole. Like I do believe that even the best managers probably only affect their win-loss by, 1, 2, 3 games, whatever it is. Because ultimately it's the players that play. It's the players that do things. I also don't blame the hitting coach when they're not hitting, even though Frank Menachino, probably didn't help. But ultimately I'm happier that, like, I saw Tony willingly cost them games in the last 2 years, which was frustrating to watch, because a manager shouldn't matter as much as he did at times, with the intentional walks on 2-strike counts.
Trey Turner.
Yeah, that kind of thing. But he made himself matter more than he should have with just ineptitude. But, if the front office and the coaching staff is working together, and the coaching staff is looking at the data and marrying the two, I don't think, even though I'm wearing an analytics shirt, I don't think it should be all analytics. Like there is a level of humanity in it where the manager needs to blend his gut and the data together and make a decision. Like I do, and each game is different too. It's not in a vacuum, which is why the data matters. But I do want a manager to use their gut. So if Grafal is down with, listening to the front office and making it a collaboration, then I think it'll make a big difference. But ultimately, the players have to perform to their levels in order for the White Sox to be successful. And if they don't add, anybody of significance, then I don't think they'll make the playoffs again.
Yeah, and I think that's a great transition right there in regard to adding somebody of significance. The White Sox here, let me put you in the shoes of Rick Hahn, the guy that you've had a lot to say about so far, right? So say you're Rick Hahn and you're being told, after you get all the guys from arbitration that you're signing, right? The Lucas Giolito, who else is under art? Raylo is going to come back. So you sign all those guys, and you're Rick Hahn, and you go to Kenny, you go to Jerry, and you're saying, hey, how much do I have to work with? And they say, you got $30 million to work with. What are you targeting, Prof? Tell me what you're going for.
I would take a shot. Like they're obviously too right-handed, especially when Yasmani and Moncada weren't in the lineup. They were definitely 2 right-handed. Fucking neighbors, man.
I know, right? Comments are fantastic.
But I think that they need another left-handed bat, preferably. Like, I'll just take a good bat. But if, I'd probably take a flyer on Conforto. I don't think he's going to be asking for a long-term deal because I think he's going to try and
prove it deal.
A prove it deal. Yeah. So if he's looking at a year, I would go after him. He's a solid defender, high on base percentage. I know some people who are anti, math and numbers because it scares them. They don't like the low average, the 240, 250 average. But he gets on base a lot and he hits for power. Shoulder doesn't scare me too much. He's 20. I think he's 29 now. I think he was 28 last year.
And a solid defender too.
Yeah, I mean, he's not spectacular, but he's good. And
he's got a cannon.
Yeah. So I would take him. I think I'd probably also go after Jean Segura. The second base market is garbage. And he's 33, but I don't if 3-year deal till he's 36, his bat probably plays until then. I think those are 2 big holes that they need offense. They need offense. Yeah. That masks bad pitching at times. I don't think their staff is bad by any means. I like the Clevenger signing.
Yep.
That's high.
Clevenger's a nice signing, actually.
Yeah, low risk, high reward, and he claimed it was coming off knee problems, which may have his velo was down like 1.5 miles. So I don't worry about as much as that second Tommy John is much if that's the case.
Yeah, and right now it sits at that they're at about 139, 140 in current payroll. And from Rick's comments, I mean, he did say that they would be around the same. I can assume maybe around 190, 195, at the most.
Yeah, I mean, they were over 200 last year.
Yeah, so year. I mean, you're looking at another $40 million probably, close to 50. So you can, sneak in one of those, I mean, free agent wise. You can even make Gavin Sheets one of your bench players, right? And get both Conforto and like a Gallo or someone like that. Like, do the smart thing, but that's.
I'm not opposed to, and I don't necessarily have the answers for it. I'm not as smart as guys like Rude or anything like that, but I'm open to like a platoon in the outfield too. Like if you want to have 2 players to equal 1 player, and you want to have a right-handed bat and a left-handed bat, and you start the righty on lefty days and the lefty on righty days, like I'm cool with that sort of creativity too, because there's plenty of bats out there that hit
Larry Garcia
opposite. Oh God. And I don't even mind Larry. He was just overexposed. You know what I mean?
100%. I should not be playing 100 games.
Positions on the field and is a switch hitter is a valuable pool, but he's not a starter and he started too much.
Yeah, correct. 1,000%. And I worry that the Whites, and here's the thing, I'm actually not worried about it. I think the White Sox are going to patch up second base with what they've got. And I don't necessarily think that's the best thing. I think it's trash.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Romy Gonzalez, Leury Garcia, and Lenny Sosa, right? But here's my thing. If it means they're going to go out and get, if that means they're going to go out and get one more arm and Brandon Nimmo, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
Nimmo ain't coming here.
I don't want to rely on a rookie in a window of contention.
I agree.
And the good teams typically don't. Maybe they bring them up at the end of the year because of need or injury or whatever it is. But I just feel like a lot of the good teams they're not inserting an Oscar Colas into right field, as their opening day starter. They're bringing him up mid-year or whatever.
Yes, exactly. Or if like an injury happens, like,
right.
if you do sign a Conforto, you do sign a Conforto or a Gallo or something like that, and they do get hurt, then you have the luxury of Colas instead of relying on him.
Correct.
Right. Yeah.
That's my biggest problem. And the White Sox do it all the time. It's like, he's a rookie. Let's just throw him in the starting lineup and hope it works. And it rarely does.
Yeah. Okay. Let's play a fun game here. Start, bench, cut. Leury Garcia, Gavin Sheets, Romy Gonzalez.
Cut Romy Gonzalez, start Gavin Sheets, and bench Larry Garcia.
Yeah, that's the right choice.
I mean,
in my opinion.
Gavin gets a lot of crap, but he hit right-handed pitching pretty well. He can't hit left-handed pitching all that well. He did a little bit better towards the end of the year, but he again, if he's a platoon bat, I have no problem with that. If you give him some starts at DH, some starts at first base, and then you have a righty that fills in when a left-handed pitcher is pitching, I'm cool with that sort of solution. Romy, I don't know if he's good, and he's probably not. What is he, 25?
Yeah, something like that, 24, 25.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 25 years old. Most of those guys, if they're good, they've already kind of at this
for like 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah, guys are getting brought up at 19, 20, 21 years old if they're good or if they're great. But 25, that's pretty late to be blooming into a good baseball player. I mean, he's okay, he's fine, but I'm not putting him in a starting lineup. That's for damn sure.
Right.
So
he's 26. I just looked it up. That's
26, even older. I mean, I'm cutting him easily. And again, I don't hate Lurie. And I felt bad for him at certain points. I mean, he's making some good coin, but like, it's not his fault Tony kept putting him in the starting lineup. Like, what's he supposed to do? Say no, I'm not playing. And a guy who is can play multiple positions. That's a valuable, even from a defensive replacement. Somebody gets hurt, that he needs to fill in for 10 games because Tim's on the IL with a hammy. Like, he can play shortstop for a little bit. That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Gary just put his hand over his face. I can't tell what that's for.
Steve.
I think it's because of something I put in the comments.
Wasn't me.
Holy cow. Sorry, I needed a second. What do you think the probability is that the White Sox sign a guy then that can make that's going to be, let's just say top 3 player WAR, not pitchers, outside of pitchers, top 3 WAR on the team? What's the probability of that, you think?
I mean, if they signed a decent free agent, pretty good now that Jose Abreu's not on the team. I mean, their player WAR from last year is pretty god awful. But like Carrie was saying before, I think they do have, if they're sticking to their around 190 to 200 million, I think the odds are pretty good that they're going to sign somebody that is a significant value. I think they have to. Like, last year,
regain the fan trust.
Last year was a kick in the rocks for all of us. Like,
it was a miserable season.
I'm 39 years old, and I don't know if I've sat through a more miserable season.
100%.
Right.
They wouldn't let go of us. It was like I wanted them to go on like a 15-game losing streak so that they could just put me out of my misery.
Yes.
And stop watching.
And they made us wait till the end for that.
Yes, I stopped watching the last 3 weeks. That's all I got.
Fuck it.
You know what I mean? Like, they strung us along the whole time. They'd go through a decent little stretch and then come back and just play like absolute ass against the worst teams too.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as that Baltimore Orioles series hit, it was like the White Sox got exposed completely, and every team knew, hey, we could just take the extra base on the outfielders because they're never going to throw us out, and it just became a slog the entire rest of the season. That the Orioles series was the turning point for me of when, like, it really got to be not hopeless, but borderline.
Right. Wait, you're talking about that road series, right? Where Engel drops the ball. For the final out, right?
That was Baltimore, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it was in Chicago, but I could be wrong.
Okay, there was definitely a Baltimore series this year. The one that I'm thinking of, the Engel drops the ball in foul territory for the final out, and then the next pitch goes yard, and they end up losing the game.
It was Santander, I think, who hit like 2 home runs that game.
Was it the series that like their outfield was making catch after catch after catch, and it was like spectacular plays that they were. I swear it was in Chicago.
That was a home series. Yeah, that
Yes.
one too. Yeah.
So that was, when was that? Just to see how long ago. I mean, you guys keep talking.
Billy's telling me it's the one in Baltimore, but there was one at home too.
June 23rd to June 24th. That, or 26th. That was the series. They lost 3 out of 4.
Okay.
And they scored 0, 1, 2, and 4 runs.
There's just way too many of those games last year. Like, I think people have like that 2021 trauma in their head where our starting pitching just absolutely imploded against Houston.
Starting pitching was good this year, actually.
But like, starting pitching was awesome this year. And to be honest with you, they were facing Houston in the division series in 21. I mean, what did they expect? You got to score runs to beat people, right? You can't expect to score. It's 2022, 2023. You can't expect to beat teams scoring 4 runs anymore. That's just not how baseball works.
No. And you're asking your pitching staff to be way too perfect.
Yes.
You're asking your bullpen to be way too perfect. And not only that, but now you're asking your bullpen to be available each night, just about when you're scoring that fewer runs. Like, you need some laughers where you can throw a long reliever to eat up some innings because you're up 10-4 or 10-2 or whatever. Like, when you're asking your bullpen, because the bullpen early on was pretty darn good, like particularly Graveman. And I feel like Graveman got used so often, he just wasn't as sharp. I know his stats were pretty good, but I just think you're asking a lot out of your bullpen too, to be in that many close games with that low of scores, because you're just using them over and over again. By the end of the season, they're going to be cashed. And so, yeah, you need to, and that's why, like, I think their staff is fine, but I need a ton more offense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't know how you can look at the current roster construction and say, okay, we're going to go just say we've got our money and our resources in relief pitching and starting pitching, right? Pitching is not the issue, right? You've got to look at the offensive numbers. And I know this team, in regard to batting average, was extremely high, but look at their OPS numbers, right? This is why teams with higher OPSs are more successful than teams with high batting averages in 2022.
Well,
so,
I mean, batting, again, I'm not trying to piss off the traditional baseball people, but
I might a little bit.
It's one of the reasons why batting averages, it's not. Here's my problem with people who are scared of numbers, scared of data. Okay, it's not that batting average is useless, which is the straw man, Jesus age, that they bring to the table. It's always an argument that people aren't making, right? Like, batting average is useless. Nobody is making that argument that I know of, at least smart people. Right. But it doesn't tell the whole story, and it's not as good as you think it is. It's not as beneficial as you think it is. When you can have somebody who gets on base a lot, but maybe has a low batting average and hits the ball out of the ballpark, like, they're driving in runs, and they're also on base so that other teammates that hit the ball far can drive in them as well.
Exactly.
It's about the home run. The best thing is when people are like, oh, just go the other way. It's 101 miles an hour, you dipshit.
It's moving like no other.
Oh, it's just easy. You just hit it the other way. And it's like, fuck off. Like, get out of here. You can't hit, like, some of the Johan Duran throws a 100-mile-an-hour splinter. Like,
that dude's filthy.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with that?
No, none of us are hitting that in 100 plate appearances.
Just Jim.
Just Jim. Yeah. Those guys like that, you sit on the fastball and the off speed, you're just like, hey, nice job.
Yep.
You can't hit it otherwise unless you're gearing up. It's just average isn't like you said. What were they, third?
Yeah,
third
something
in the
like
league
that.
Average.
Frank Menachino effect.
Yeah. Here's the thing. All of the reason why they're so high in average is because of all of their singles, right? I think did they lead the MLB in singles? I almost want to say they did. Now, the singles also make up for all of the walks that they don't take as a ball club too.
Yeah.
They're one of the worst walking
this year,
ball
especially
clubs in the league, and especially this year.
Too.
Right.
That's why when you look at like all of the games last year, I swear to God, they would have like Michael Lorenzen at 81 pitches into the 7th inning.
Oh,
or
I
8th
remember
inning.
that.
It's like almost every game that the starting pitcher was able to go deep and throw like 75.
And the
to
shittiest
90.
pitchers too.
Yeah, they were terrible. And
Daniel Lynch.
Glenn Otto. I remember Glenn Otto. Like, what the fuck?
because when you don't take pitches, you swing at everything. You don't put stress on them by walking. You don't get on base. Yeah, your average is fine, but none of their on base percentages were very good. So those are stressful innings when you have guys on base and you're working out of the stretch and you have to, pay attention to the runner instead of the hitter that you're trying to get out. That's when you can make more mistakes. So when you're not stressing the pitcher and they're throwing 75, 80 pitches through 6, 7 innings, congratulations, you have a high average, but you're not scoring any runs.
1,000%. Couldn't have said it better myself, and it comes from the guy who played collegiate baseball and coached many years.
Yeah, it was average to shitty.
I mean,
What
same
state
with
did you
me.
go to?
We're both D3 legends here, Prof. So
That's right. CCIW, baby.
CCIW. Hey, the best D3 conference, at least, right?
It's true.
Shit. So let me ask you this real quick as we wrap this thing up. Usually we try to keep it within a half hour, but fuck it.
2 teachers on a podcast, long-winded.
Disgusting.
Honestly, there was this question. I don't know if this is our last question, but this is definitely a question. Carrie, are you the highest right now?
I don't do that.
You don't do that? What? No?
I don't do that.
We're professional here on the Believe in the
I
Southside
don't do that
podcast.
shit. That's for the liberals.
Oh, yes, that's right. Honestly, that leads me to my last question perfectly. Brian, tell us what your thoughts are on Lucas Giolito and his work down in the Dominican Republic.
I am personally very disappointed that he is not throwing a baseball 24 hours a day. He needs to get back to work and work on his craft for 24 hours, 7 days a week. And if he doesn't, he is liberal garbage.
Absolutely. 1,000%.
Yeah.
You hear that at all the Major League Baseball players who are listening to us right now?
Because all of these players are practicing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and have absolutely zero time for anything else because they're dogs.
Gary, do you want to add on to this? What are your thoughts on Lucas Giolito's?
I don't agree with him doing charity work. That's all I have to say about that.
Of course. Oh man, you know who would agree with you guys? Our favorite citizen of Arizona. Kidding. Obviously, you guys do not feel that way, and I'm very grateful that you guys don't feel that way about Lucas Giolito and his charity work and actually using his time to do good things outside of the lines of baseball.
Only lames would bitch about somebody doing a good thing.
I just don't get
it. That's too good. Holy shit. All right. Final thoughts. First off, Prof, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Would you like to give any special shout outs here at the end? Any final thoughts on the White Sox going into 2023 or people that you love dearly in your life that you would like to give a shout out to?
Oh my God. Neighbors, man, I swear to God. No, not really. No, thanks for having me on. I don't know why anyone will want to hear me talk, but
You did, Luke.
But yeah, whatever.
No problem.
No, I'll talk baseball all day. So I'll talk more if you ever want to have me on again.
Hey, absolutely. We appreciate having you on, Prof. Carrie, final thoughts as we wrap this thing up?
I'm just happy we got you on here, Prof. One of my favorite people on the app that I've gotten to actually meet and become friends with. 108 day. Last year was a ton of fun. And I know this year is going to be a great time with everybody, here on the podcast. And I know the majority of people in the chat too. So I'm really looking forward to that day as well.
Yeah, me too. I'm really looking forward to that day. It's always good to see everybody's face and, well, some people's face. And
not Jim or Cindy.
Definitely not Jim. Even though he's excited to go, apparently.
There. But yeah, that's
No,
good.
thanks for coming on though, and I'm glad we can talk some baseball with you. So
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you, Prof.
Egg
Carrie.
Billy's house.
Yes, indeed. I
It was
might
basement.
join you sometime. Peace out, everybody. We'll see y'all next week.